Welcome to another episode of the Love Not Fear podcast. Today we're talking about honesty versus truth.
Interesting topic. With a lot of preparing for this, it touches upon a lot of elements. The previous podcast as well, but also for me, what really resonates here is to how to adjust your honesty and truth to stay aligned with your vision.
Mhm.
Because honesty is not something you measure on a scale. It's a feeling. If something is off balance. Honesty is this little voice inside you that you cannot shut off if something is wrong.
Mhm.
Maybe you can push it away. You can overshout it a little time. That's what meditation is for, to settle down in your body and in your mind to, yeah, really refocus. What is the difference between honesty versus truth?
The first thing that came to mind is like when my wife asked me if she gained weight, will I be honest or honesty versus truth? Will I tell her the truth or will I, um, kind of being honest to myself and true to myself?
So this is the topic of feedback. So feedback can sometimes, if you literally say what you think,
Mhm.
then might not get you where you want to be. So choosing your words wisely.
My mother always said, "Be hard in the case, but soft with the person." Especially when you work with I mean, with anybody. Like in the business context, let's say we work together and you're always late. I would never yell at you. I'd never flip out. I'd never say like, "Eduard, like, why the heck are you always late? Like, can't you get your shit together?"
Yeah,
I'd never do that. I'd kind of like I'd be very hard in the case, but soft to the person. So I'd say like, "Hey man, you can't be late all the time. It's bad for
yeah,
the team. You're in a leadership position, then everybody will do this. We're wasting people's time. Blah 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 blah."
yeah,
I want you to succeed. I think you're a rock star, but you want to get this under control. Otherwise, we can't work together. So I'm very hard in the case. Like I'll stop the business relationship with you if you will not get this together. But I'm kind with you. I'm supportive. And I think this goes really a long way. How kind of treating others the way, but also yourself. If you think about like what is this self talk that you have in your head? If you don't succeed at something, do you beat yourself up?
yeah.
Or are you kind with yourself like, okay, this didn't work. What can we learn from it? Let's get back on the horse. Let's do it again. I think it's really, really important.
I've implemented something that wasn't the tool that was not there before. I use AI sometimes when I do a written response or a something in writing that I'm not happy about it. I sometimes run it through ChatGPT 4 and say, write this in a kinder way. If I or I don't know. What I use different types of prompts, but it'll give me some suggestion, and based on that, I see, it's the text is pretty okay. Or well, I might use some elements from that content. But it's actually before hitting send button, and it's out there, and you're still maybe feeling angry, and you're feeling hurt maybe. I've learned that it says more about me than about the other person. So being more
Um,
relaxed.
Abraham Lincoln, they found lots of letters from him, like very angry letters, but he never sent them. So he just kind
Yeah,
of wrote them out just to get it out of his system.
yeah,
But then he didn't send them. I think there's like no benefit from this. And so I think it's, yeah, you
yeah,
may feel better in the moment, like, oh, I really told them what I think, but like, what's the benefit? It's kind of like, can you not act out of love to the
yeah.
other person because you all want to see the other person succeed, versus like you feeling better for an instant? Like I personally don't get any, I guess, like kind of long term thinking versus short term thinking. Like makes me feel good in the moment, in the moment,
Yeah.
but long term it's just destructive. So and you always compound interest. I only want to do things that are compounding in a positive manner, and
Yeah.
yeah, no short-term thinking.
I, I know that this story about a professor that it was showing a book, and the book had a red cover, and the book said this book. Sorry, the professor said this book is black, and the whole
Mhm.
class said no, it's red. It's red. So it went on for a little while. Then the professor turned around the book, and his side of the book was black.
Like hmm.
So this is a very simple example of to be very careful if you think that the problem is very obvious, and and you're mad at the other person for not seeing it, zoom out and see if you see the whole picture, and yeah, be a little bit, try to place yourself in their shoes. But that's it's a no-brainer.
It also brings me to the thought of in EO entrepreneurs organization, when we have our meetings, we always want to stay in Gestalt, which means I only talk about things that I have experienced. I only share from my experiences, so you can take the things that work for you because I know your circumstance. For
Yeah.
example, my wife had a construction business here in Turkey, like building wood houses, and I was giving her advice on like how to, how I'm running my businesses, and like you should do this and you should do that, but it doesn't work for Turkish construction workers. It's just like a different thing. Stuff that works for my nerdy environment of computer geeks, it just did not apply. So I should have just being more in Gestalt, saying like, hey, we do this and this and this, and they could have taken whatever works for them. But yeah, so
But can you explore a little bit more about how you verify your honesty and taking a second look?
mm,
For me, I'll give you an example. For me, the factor time. If you time means that you abstract yourself a little bit from the emotion. I mean, a couple of minutes you feel different. If you're angry, a couple of minutes you feel different. And there's a number of questions that I run in my head. Is this for whom is a problem? Is it only for me? Is it
mm,
universal truth? Is it should I be more careful about somebody's time? For instance, dealing with people with small children. I've had children myself. I know what it's like to have deadlines and have a 1-year old who is sick and a 3-year old who's pulling your leg all the time. So being a bit more, yeah, um, understanding, love.
yeah. Yeah, I think the like not acting from kind of taking a breath before you do. I think one thought that I just talked to one of my business partners about this. He's very self-critical. He's like very perfectionistic, and if something doesn't work, he kind of beats himself up in his head.
Hmm.
Like, how do you talk to yourself? Like, you want to be a good coach. Like, imagine a coach. Like, what is a good coach? Like somebody who beats somebody else up. Like, oh, you fucked up. Like, you never amount to anything. Like, versus like, hey, you can do this, and give perspective. Like, other ways of looking at this. So, kind of, what kind of coach do you want to be for, or that would serve you? Kind of think about this when you talk to others. Also, when you talk to yourself. That's, I think it's very crucial.
Yeah. Hmm. And again, honesty versus truth. If you take it back to coaching, truth is subjective. And if you can change something in a person, that they take their belief and add something to it, and they own the direction or they own the problem that they're working on, I think that those are the signs of a good coach. It's not just showing it, hey, you're here, you need to be there.
Or like, and another things like if you just share how this makes you feel, not saying like, oh, you're a bad person, but it's like, hey, your action just made me feel like this and this and this.
Oh yeah.
I think this is also like kind of how you can really transport, be
Yeah.
honest, and also tell the truth without being judging or too critical.
Yeah.
So you give the other person the opportunity to reflect
Yeah.
on and have like this normal conversation versus a shouting match.
That is very, very powerful, but it also brings back to a childhood memory. And when my parents wouldn't say, I'm mad at you, but I'm really disappointed. And that hurt way more than they would say, I'm really mad at you. So the power of words again. So what is it? What is the thought? The idea of the day.
I think the idea of today is how do you talk to yourself and how do you talk to others? And would you like to have this voice as a coach that helps you to grow?
Yeah.
Kind of like us kind of talking out of love versus talking out of fear.
Yeah.
How can you self-assess? Actually, I watched a Andrew Huberman podcast snippet yesterday, and there was some guy who had like really big issues with like being perfectionistic and then very aggressive if something doesn't go the way he wanted, and then kind of also like aggressive towards others and like getting into fights and stuff like this because he had this like extremely negative self-talk. And how his therapist helped him to get over this is like he asked him to, if something goes wrong, the self-talk that he had in his head, how say it as his best friend would have done that. And then he was way kinder. And then record a voice message of this and
Yeah.
then send it to his therapist.
Yeah.
And it took him like a few months and then like it was completely gone. So I guess kind of back to the call to action.
Yeah.
Think about the voice that you have in your head and the voice that you use towards others when something doesn't go right. And can you switch to be more love focused versus fear focused?
Let's wrap up with this beautiful message, and hope to see you in the next episode. Take care.
Bye.